During the Second Sino War, an event occurred on May 20th, 1938, that shook a village to its very foundation. An act so heinous, so disturbing, that echoes of it still circle the world. A man, at night, cut the power to his village, adorned himself with flashlights to his head and chest, loaded up a shotgun with multiple rounds, swords, katanas, and all sorts of implements of terror, and went on a spree, taking out anyone who opposed him. And then, finally, himself. This act was known as the Tsuyama Massacre. Let's get into it.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review and an unboxing of Unearthed Films' newest release on Blu-ray, Village of Doom. And this is a movie that is based off a real-life event. They changed some things in it to, of course, respect the deaths of the people that died. And it was directed by Noboru Tanaka, who was known for making many sexploitative films in the industry. This does have a copious amount of sexual acts in it that are specifically true to the story. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story, tell you what I think about this movie, and then get into all the extras and the features and the unboxing of this after. So let's get into it. So yeah, I wanted to mention that this is just out today, actually came out yesterday, so you can get a copy for yourself. And man, holy crap, is this story insane. They actually based this off a real life man who was by the name of Mutsuo Toi, who actually went on this killing spree to take out a bunch of people that he did not like in his hometown village. Now, of course, there was a lot of reasons why it led up to this, and of course, everything that lined itself up to get him to that point. And the movie does a good job of sort of walking you through a lot of those different mistakes and mishaps and embarrassments and, you know, just stuff that made this person turn into a violent person. Apparently, this kid was very kind of off to his own. He did sort of know people, but not very well. He was considered to be very intelligent, and he got pushed to the limit on a lot of different things. A lot of people treated him very differently, although he did seem to have a liking of other men's wives, which was a practice apparently that they had in Japan. There was like a thing where you would knock on a woman's window, and of course they would invite you in or not, and this was kind of a acceptable thing in some villages. And one of the adjacent villages, he was participating in a lot of this, and that led to a lot of the hatred and volatility that was going on. When he came down with tuberculosis, which at the time really didn't have any kind of cures, well, it kind of took his dream of being a soldier in the military, which was going on at that time. It took it away from him, and he felt like he had no purpose and he wasn't a man. The townspeople started hating him and kind of making him even more pushed into solitude like he already was. He sort of started to snap and started to take it out on the entire town by going out on a spree. And this movie does a really good job of bringing you to that point. Literally, it takes pretty much most of the movie. You're going through the story of all of these little things that are happening in his life. Him living with his grandma, him falling in love with sort of his cousins and things like that. There was a lot of things like this going on in neighboring villages where people were just pretty much doing everything. He kind of succumbed to a lot of that. And then after the town kind of went after him, he kind of snapped. And this movie is kind of about that event, and they walk you through it. he went in the middle of the night, cut the power to the whole place, and nobody thought anything of it because, power went out a lot of times in this small village. So he just went out with lights and everything strapped to his head and started shooting people. And it was pretty wild, man. This movie is pretty visceral. There's a lot of sexual situations in this movie too. Some that are kind of in that assaulty way, but not necessarily. In fact, a lot of the women that he was sleeping with really wanted to be with him, but there are moments in there where it kind of rides that line. So just so you know, but yeah, there is a lot of that going on, and he participated in a lot of it and got a lot of people sick with tuberculosis, and it gets pretty gnarly, man, by the end of the movie. And I gotta say, it's hard for me to say, oh, I like this movie, because it's based on a real event, but it's not like this is the first movie ever told about real events. And we're talking 50 years later, and then now we're even further in the future now, almost 100 years into the future. And it may not be the feel-goods hit of the summer, but it definitely will let you remember it for a long time to come. And, it's really well shot, really well told. The acting in it is really good. In fact, the main guy who was in it, I think did a pretty good job of playing the Matsuo guy, but they named him Sugio Inumaru, and they changed the date until October 20th so that, I guess it was to be respectful. But yeah, I mean, they really do treat it with a lot of respect. It's an interesting story from start to finish, whether you like the outcome of it or not. It doesn't mean you're glorifying it. It just means that it's pretty messed up. And I think anybody who would watch that would think that. But this is like a wild story about this guy, and the majority of it is all like true, except for the few things that they changed. But yeah, I really thought this was a visceral ride, and it is something that it's not too much, I think, for some people who are like, oh, I don't like those extreme movies. I think this is kind of on the borderline of that, although it does have some of those assaulting moments in it, and it doesn't hide itself from any of the sort of like sexy time parts and stuff like that. It definitely has some very adult themes in here. You kind of know what to expect when you're getting some of their films, but they don't always do these kind of films. But this is definitely kind of in the vein of what you would expect. And I was locked in because this event's gonna happen. You kind of are waiting and watching like a forensic scientist or investigator trying to figure out where the turning point is going to happen and like how it gets to the point that it does. And some of the people he takes out in this, you're just like, whoa. But then other people, you're like, okay, that makes sense. I highly recommend this if you are into true crime and you want to see stuff that has happened in real life. I would give this movie like an 8 out of 10. It's easy. Like, it's that good. You can actually pick up a copy for yourself from Unearthed or Amazon. I'll put a link down to Amazon if you want to pick it up for yourself. There are some extras in here I'm going to go over in the unboxing and everything here now, so I'm going to get into that. But yeah, if you are into this kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend checking it out. So first up, you get the slipcase on this one. And, obviously there is the same thing. It's just, of course, the box on there. There is no reversible cover. Here is the disc. Now, we do get some extras in this release that you can have with your collector's edition. And that is the commentary by Asian film experts Arnie Venema and Mike Leader. And then, of course, we have Dark Asia with Megan, which is Case 57, Japan's Darkest Night, Usuyama Massacre, which she does a really excellent job of sort of atmospherically telling the story of the original massacre and how it went down, and like some of the details in between that you don't really know about in the movie. Really complimentary of the movie when you are done. And then I would highly recommend checking out the commentary afterwards too, if you get a chance. I know not everybody does, but these are some chock full of like real good information and stuff. I've seen their commentary. I've listened to it before. These guys know their stuff. We also have promotional gallery and a theatrical trailer with this. It's about 106 minutes. and 185 aspect ratio, and it's in mono, so you can it's Japanese language, English subtitles. Unearth, thank you so much. MVD, thank you guys both for sending this out to me. I actually really enjoyed this one. You know what I mean. But yeah, man, what a wild story, man. Like it's really crazy, and it makes me want to watch other stuff like this. There's always something a little darker about a true story and it being really real. This is one of those ones that you're going to want to check out if you're into that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming by. I really appreciate all of your support. Hopefully that is something that you might want to check out. If not, I've got more on the way. We got a lot of Japanese horror movies that I'm going to be talking about, actually. So this is like a sort of Japanese Halloween. These are going to be from all different ages and times and stuff. We got some really cool stuff and box sets that I'm going to be talking about. So you're going to want to stick around if you like this kind of stuff. Some of them are ghost stories. Some of them are just a bunch of different other stuff. So we'll get into that. A lot of J-horror stuff though. So buckle up. Thank you guys so much for your time. And as always, long live the void.